Hi. Many of you probably know by now that I've been working on a manga project, something I've been wanting to do for 20 years now. It's been my dream to write, draw, and self-publish my own manga comic book. But what you probably don't know is that I've always wanted it to be a digital web-based comic. In fact, it's the reason why I became a web developer in the first place, so that I would be able to take that idea and turn it into reality. So the website and the online reading experience has always been a very central part of my vision for this project. So in the last year and a half, I've been really pushing myself to draw the manga, to really make it a reality, and I've been making some really good progress. I'm hoping that pretty soon I'll be in a position to start publishing some pages. And to do that, I've put together a small web application for reading the comic, and together with it, a 3-page comic explaining how to use it. Now, I had a lot of fun building this. It's a culmination of ideas for the last 20 years that have come together, and with all of my knowledge in responsive web design and user interface design, I think I've put together something that I'm really pleased with and quite proud of. So I'd like to share that with you and show you how it all works and what I actually built.
I built the app with Nuxt. That's a Vue-based framework if you're unfamiliar with it. I really like working with Vue, not only because of the performance and the developer experience, but because I personally feel that it's more in line with the web standards in its concepts. But rather than taking a lot of open source components and solutions, I decided to write them myself. Other than Nuxt and Vue itself, I didn't add any other dependencies to this project. And before you ask, no, I did not use any AI to build this project. Like I said, one of the main reasons I became a web developer was so that I can see this through and build this web reading application myself. So after 20 years of amassing skills in web design and web development, there was no way I was going to let AI build it for me. Again, other than Nuxt and Vue and its associated dependencies, this is 100% hand-coded. The basic premise of the web app is that you read a comic book page by page, with the expected features of being able to zoom in and out so that you can get a better look at the artwork and read the speech bubbles a bit better. I also included buttons to fit the page vertically or horizontally in the viewport, making it easy to very quickly jump to a more comfortable reading position or see the whole page overall. To render the pages themselves, I used the Canvas API and CSS transforms for the best performance. So the browser is able to use GPU acceleration to render the pages and give it a really smooth visual experience. To pan around the page, I used pointer events. That way, I was able to implement dragging the page with a mouse, touch device, or other type of device without having to have large blocks of code duplicated. Alongside this, you can pan via scrolling too, using a mouse with the scroll wheel or trackpad. You can also zoom the page with scrolling by holding the Alt key and scrolling up or down. Another feature I really like is the rendering modes. The idea here is to simulate different types of paper that manga and comics are typically printed on. My favorite is Tankoban, which gives that slightly yellowed paper look of paperbacks. I implemented this with CSS filters, which is another GPU accelerated property. And on touch devices, I used the Touch Events API to implement pinch zooming. This was a bit tricky because it was hard to get it working harmoniously with the panning feature, which is done with Pointer Events API. Mostly because there's a bit of overlap between the Pointer Events and the Touch Events API when dealing with a touch-enabled device like a phone or a tablet. Honestly, the pinch to zoom feature was one of the harder things to do here, and I'm not 100% happy with it. But once I got it to a working state, I decided to park it and move on. Really, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this one feature that I could be dedicating towards drawing the manga. If you're asking why I wrote a web app and not a native mobile application, well, other than being a web developer, I always opt for the web solution, mostly because I believe that the web is so much more accessible to a wider range of people. With a web app, as long as you have a modern browser, you can run it on anything, quite literally any device. You can use this web app on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop, on your smart TV, heck, even on your watch. Not that that's particularly useful or usable, but it's still pretty cool that you can. Design-wise, I like immersive content. So I like user interfaces that disappear into the content or are not noticeable until you actually need them. And I think I achieved that with my design. It's effectively a sleek, monochromatic, floating, unbound button cluster. giving way for the manga page to take up the space of the entire window. And on mobile devices, that same cluster is shrunk down and positioned for optimized thumb use.
And that's about it. I hope that you enjoy the application and the little comic that I put together for it. And please bookmark Legends of Daaryssia, follow my channels, and hopefully you'll be reading it soon.